Hello, all you beautiful people in Webtown. I am your humble host, Matt Legit, and I am very excited today. This is the first comic book review here on my new channel, Crypto Comics. Please subscribe, please like if you do appreciate this video. And I want to start with a book that most of you have probably never seen. This is The Art of Homage Studios. To tell you a little bit about this, Homage Studios was founded by Jim Lee and Brandon Choi. Marc Silvestri very quickly joined. People like Wildstorm worked out of this studio. It was actually a real physical building down in California. I believe it was in San Diego. And this book I've owned for many years, and we're gonna crack the spine on this bad boy just so you guys can really see what's going on the inside here. So this is actually the floor plan of the studio, and it's quite interesting. They put this in here, and you'll see as we go through that they highlight in red the different areas where people worked at and what their studio space was. I will read this. This is by Jeff Mariotte. I probably butchered that last name. Mariotti, whatever. It's a big operation now, but Homage Studios started not so very long ago with just two guys drawing pages in the corner of a condo. So how'd they get so big so fast? Let's take a look back at the early days of this talented crew for the story behind the studio. The life of a comic book artist looks like fun, and it is. But it's also a lot of long, lonely hours bent over the drawing board with nothing in front of you but another piece of paper waiting to be filled. To alleviate the boredom, high school friends Wills and Scott Williams started working together in the loft of Scott's condo. Soon, Scott and Wills began to make a name for themselves, drawing such projects as Marvel's Strike Force, Morituri, and The Punisher. On one job, Wills inked the work of a new penciler named Jim Lee. Realizing the benefits of working with others, Jim soon moved from Berkeley to San Diego to join Scott and Wills in their studio. This population explosion overflowed the loft in Scott's condo, so the artist packed up and moved to a one-bedroom apartment. Then a desperate call came from Marvel. An issue of the Uncanny X-Men was running late. Could these guys pencil and ink it in 14 days? The three went to work. Each man played to his strengths, with Jim doing the layouts, Wills rendering, Scott inking, and Jim going back to add effects and finishes. The book was done in just 9 days. Working together made them a powerful force, the three artists realized. Next to join was painter and colorist Joe Chiodo. With Joe on board, the gang moved to a spacious two-bedroom apartment, and the first Homage Studios products hit the marketplace. Prints of Cybernary and Blood and Iron. In 1992, Marc Silvestri joined the Homage team, necessitating another move, this time to a real office. Marc, a powerhouse in his own right, was getting weary of the comic book business and of working alone in his studio in Malibu. Two things re-energized him. One was moving to Homage Studios, to be around artists whose work he respected and whose presence he enjoyed. The other was the idea that a group of creators could start their own comic book company, Image Comics. Now publishing their own comics through Image, Homage Studios expanded again, adding letterers and support staff so they could produce their books entirely in-house. A bigger house, of course, as they moved down the hall to still larger offices. 1993's Homage Studios talent search swelled the ranks even more, cramming over a dozen artists and a score of others into the space by the end of the year, and prompting the search for yet another new home. By the spring of 1994, the Homage gang should be settled into the spacious digs shown on this page. Maybe this time, they'll stay a while. So what you're going to see is a lot of splash pages, poster art type of stuff. This is penciled by Marc Silvestri, inked by Silvestri and Tom McWeeny, colors by Joe Chiodo. This is Cyberforce, if you don't know. This is Wetworks, which I don't think I'll ever get into. I was not a big fan of Wetworks. Wills loved that gold paint, though. This is penciled by Wills and inked by Scott Williams, and Wills did the computer colors. Oh, I should actually read this, shouldn't I? Marc Silvestri says, "This was actually my first rendering of Strike Force as a group. The little guy in front is Black Anvil, my twist on the team big guy. He's not even 5 feet tall, but at least that wide." Wills says, One day I got tired of just watching what Ben and the guys were doing on the machines and decided to try coloring my own piece. I think computer separation and the photorealistic effects you can get is the cutting-edge future of comics. And he was right. Oh, here we go. Scott Williams drew this. I had nothing particular in mind when I started this drawing, except to do a character different than those I'm associated with, like Wildcats and Cyberforce. I had a vague image of an Indian warrior, noble and proud. As the character developed into the color stage, he became the White Wolf. Oh, here's our friends in Wildcats. Art by Jim Lee, colors by Ben Fernandez. With the advent of so much cross-hatched uplighting, I decided to try something different and use a little parallel line rendering and use as little parallel line rendering as possible. I love this. I love Joe Chiodo's artwork. This was penciled by him and inked by Trevor Scott, and Joe did the colors on it also. The character has no name. All it says is, here's one last round for the road. Now we have Homage Stories. They put three little, little 8-page or 2-page, 4-page comics in here. My personal favorite is Cap and Pyro and the West Coast Pirates. There's also Urban Storm and Weapon Zero. Cap and Pyro is by talent discovered during the Homage Studios talent search, a young man you may have heard of named J. Scott Campbell. Urban Storm is by Jim Lee and Brandon Choi. And Weapon Zero is by Marc Silvestri, David Wohl, and Joe Benitez, with pencils by Joe Benitez. So I'm just going to read this one because I wish this would have been a comic because it looks super, super fun. And I think this is actually where you first start to see a little hint of what would become Gen 13. And I'll explain that as we go through. On a bluish-white planet, not so far removed from other bluish-white planets, there lived a man. And with this man, there lived a team. This team was Cap and Pyro and the West Coast Pirates. Howdy, I'm William Murdoch, but my friends call me Wild Bill Cody. This here is my team and our story. Don't let the look fool you. These kids are tops in what they do. I'm not going to read this. Yeah, these are the characters. I'm not going to explain them. Roll call, folks. Captain Duke Pyro, the leader and all-American hero. Snake Remick, the smart mouth and whip-cracking gunslinger from out of the West. Heidi Grogan, the beauty on the waves, wherever they may be. Jack Knife, the man with the plan, lady. Oh, excuse me. The man with the plan, laddie. It's all in the hands. Draticus, the badass from Chiros. Pantera, he isn't just another pretty face. Shenandra? Yep. Shenandra Tristan. Shenandra Tritson. Geez, that's a mouthful. Shenandra Tritson, a natural beauty who's in command of nature. Warchild Tritson, the younger and spunkier of the two. Her powers are young, but her ambition is high. And this really does remind me a hell of a lot of a certain character from Gen 13. This here is Peter James, my brother. He's the money man for the outfit. Join us as we take you on a whirlwind tour to feel the action. Don't call me Barney. Visit the beach. Come back to San Lucas. Live the adventure. Look out for that mountain. Aye, I see it, lass. I see it. Take on fiendish foes. Interesting collection of villains here. Experience the romance. Baby, you make my bacon sizzle. Oh, Snake. Don't let the adventure pass you by. Be there. The end? Yeah, it was the end, actually, unfortunately. These characters never really made another appearance. And then here we have Urban Storm, which is obviously, this short Stormwatch story was first intended to appear in Operation Urban Storm, a benefit book to help rebuild Los Angeles after the April 1992 riots. Due to various circumstances, the project was postponed. The story is still timely and noteworthy as my first pencil and ink project in some time, said Mr. Jim Lee. I'm not going to read this. Quite wordy. Oh, a beautiful look at Velocity by Joey Mads. I know the pose is goofy, but I'm just psyched that I get a chance to draw my favorite Image character. I love fast women. That's how you get a venereal disease, kid. And then we, this is Weapon Zero. I'm not going to read this either. If you want to read it, you got to pick up the book. How to Draw by Wildstorm. This is great, you know. We start with plotting, scripting, and layouts. 5 simple steps here. As you can see, this is, Gen 13, here we go. Structure, light and shading, inking, coloring. This is actually colored by hand, it looks like. Interesting. Swimsuits featuring J. Scott Campbell, Aaron Weisenfeld, Brandon Peterson, Ryan Benjamin, and Jim Lee. And see, they highlight where they work in the new studio. So this is obviously by my boy, J. Scott Campbell, a real talent. Look, he even got the tan lines in there, which I really appreciate. And very, very sexy. Very, very sexy. Totally awesome shot of wildcats on summer vacation. Can't help but appreciate that, can you? Oh, more wildcats. And here we have Gen 13 as drawn by Jim Lee. Dinosaurs were, you know, super popular thanks to Jurassic Park, so you can't blame a guy for wanting to draw a dino. This is not swimsuits at all, but it is penciled by Brandon Peterson, who was the gentleman who drew codenamed Strike Force, the alternate Cyberforce book. A sketchbook featuring Scott Clark, Marc Silvestri, and Wildstorm. This is gorgeous. This is absolutely stunning to look at. Scott Clark's pencils are fantastic. I saw this as an opportunity to revert back to the drawing style I used in school. Rendering in gray gives you a little more freedom because you're not worrying about what you have to give to an inker. Here's some loose sketches to give you an idea. Yeah, for sure. I really dig this too. This looks really gorgeous. And of course, Joe Chiodo with another really cool concept here. This is Dina Gibbons and Johnny Tech looking for a fight. Characters I've never seen reappear anywhere again. But it is really fun. I like that the monkey has cybernetic fingers and toes. Very interesting. Some Marc Silvestri. These are my early character designs. Notice the impact as the genie look. Cyblade remained pretty much unchanged. I kind of liked her right off the bat. People always ask me how Stryker can stand up with 3 mechanical arms on one side. And I always tell them, hey, it's a comic book. Oh, the Brewmaster 2000, one of my favorite pieces of art ever drawn. Homage Studios stays up late at night with the Brewmaster 2000 thanks to Joe Chiodo's amazing artwork. What a find. What a talented man. Wildstorm. A long-standing habit of mine has been to sketch on the back of comic book pages. I like inking techniques, character design, and anatomical structure. And sometimes I like to just doodle, and what comes out oftentimes reflects the mood I'm in. This is interesting. Oh, Brett Booth was the first artist Jim Lee found during the Homage Studios talent search. His work is powerful and highly detailed. His sense of pacing and his dynamic fight scenes make him a definite superstar in the making. Yeah, he is a real talent. I mean, and this is just at the beginning, you know. You look at some of the work he did after a year or two. Truly amazing. This is a great team. This is by Brett Booth. These are characters Sean Ruffner and I created way back in college. For this book, I revamped some of the characters and actually created a few new ones. Sometime in the future, I would like to do a book on these guys. So I'm really digging this character and this character and this character and this character. I don't need these 2 ladies. I certainly don't need the dinosaur, even though they were super popular back then. I don't care. You give me these 4, and it looks certainly interesting. This guy looks especially interesting to me. I'm quite compelled by him. I find this to be a pretty original design too. And this guy looks like he could easily turn into a villain, and I find that interesting. I can't really tell if these are heroes or villains just by looking at it. So it's quite interesting. I wish Brett Booth would maybe get back to this. He's probably forgotten all about this by now. How to break into comics. You know, I'll just give you the once over. Let me sum up. Practice a lot. Send your submissions to an editor. You hear that? To an editor. Show your best work at conventions. Show us that you can tell a story. Take criticism. I do accept submissions. I am editing a book for young Nasser Rabadi of Secret Comics. He made the first Comicsgate book to actually ship, which was Stardust. And he's working on a couple more as we go into 2019. This piece was penciled and inked by Alex Garner, another of the Year One Talent Search finds. His attention to detail and control of the nib are reminiscent of Terry Austin's line work, says Jim Lee. So there we have, Gen 13 once again. And that's it. That is a look at the art of Homage Studios way back in 1993? Yeah, 1993. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. It was really fun to open this up. I have not looked at this in, 20 years, 25 years probably. And it was great to share it with you guys. If you liked it, please like, please subscribe. If you want, you could even share this video because that really helps attract new subscribers. And the more subscribers we have, the better. Because as we go into 2019, I'm going to start talking more about the comic books I will be releasing. I've spent a lot of time crafting screenplays over the last few years and have decided to adapt a few of them that are suitable for comics into a sequential art medium. And I've privately read, we've done some readings and some Google Hangouts privately, and they've been very well received by people within the industry. So I'm looking to just start with a couple smaller books and work my way up to some really fantastical, magical stuff. And with your help, I will hopefully be able to do it for a living and continue to entertain you each and every day of your beautiful life. So, thanks for watching. I will see you next time on more, much more, crypto comics.